Hey, how's your day? Myrna, how was your day since I got you on the screen?
It's been a wonderful day. I'll say that. I had the pleasure of spending some time with Cheryl, and so that was great. And got my car fixed, and so let's just say it's been an interesting kind of roller coaster day.
What's the weather like down there?
It's a wonderful fall August,
Okay.
because August is normally not fall-like, but this is peculiar and strange weather. So in Atlanta, it's cold. Not prepared for this for an August.
Yeah, it was like 70 something here today, which was welcoming. Enjoyed that. Okay, I'm going to change my view right quick.
And y'all Chicago folk, y'all like that. We in the South, we like, no, we want our heat. We want our heat. We had moments of it, but like right now it's cold.
Awesome. So I'm going to mute you out and we're
All
going
right, good deal.
to see now get my screen back. Okay. Nope, I don't want that. I'm trying to get my screen back with just me. It must be Mercury retrograde. Speaker. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Can you all see me? What do you see on the screen? All right, Myrna, I'm gonna unmute you. What are you seeing on the screen?
You with the living room background.
That's it.
Yes.
Okay, good. That works for me. And the
Oh,
YouTube.
and it says at the bottom your name and phone number.
Okay, that works for me. Good. I'm gonna mute you back, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right, welcome everyone. It's so good to see all of you who are joining this evening. Those of you on the YouTube channel, and those of you who are in the Zoom room this evening. Good to see each of you. Hasefi, good to see you. Mom, Angie B, Rachel, Cheryl, and Myrna. Great, good to see all of you this evening. So we're gonna jump right in. I know it's getting rather late on the East Coast. We're gonna change the time since the fall is coming. September, I'm gonna change the time to 7 p.m. Eastern time, which would be 6 o'clock Central time. So that way, those of you on the East Coast don't have to be waiting so long for this to come on. All right, let's get started. Let's take a 10-minute, just get focused, get centered. 10 second, that is. So right where you are, just take a moment, close your eyes, take a big breath in through the nostrils. Filling up your diaphragm, hold it, and now just exhale all the way down to the bottom of the breath. Then let's take one more and sit in silence for 20 seconds. Big breath in through the nostrils. Exhale. Continue to breathe in and out at your own pace. All right. Peace and blessings. Divine greetings to each of you this evening. I'm Greg Stanton, also known as Asar. And I wanted to welcome each of you back to the living room, a sacred space where truth is not only studied but demonstrated. If this is your first night here, welcome. Keep coming back each and every Tuesday night. We've been walking through the seven-part metaphysical immersion where each principle builds on the last. So let's recall the path that we've been on so far, dealing with the seven Hermetic principles. In room one or week one, we explored the law of mentalism. That is, all is mind. You learned that thought is your blueprint, is shaping your lived experience. In room two, week two, we entered the law of correspondence. As within, so without. You saw that your inner state echoes outwardly. So whatever's coming from the out that is being reflected outside is coming from the inside. The third week, we discovered the law of vibration. We dealt with nothing rests, everything moves. Your words, emotions, and energy are always in motion. In room four last week, we unpacked the law of polarity. Everything has its pair of opposites. You learn that extremes are not contradictions, but degrees of the same essence. So here we are tonight in week five, room five. And tonight's focus is the principle of rhythm, moving with the divine flow. You know, life swings, seasons change, emotions rise and fall. The wisdom of rhythm is learning not to resist the swing, but to ride it. The Kabbalion, which we find these seven principles laid out for us, tells us that everything flows out and in, and everything has its tides. All things rise and things fall. The pendulum swings, it manifests in everything. Put simply, life moves in cycles. Nothing is static. Day becomes night, night becomes day, and again, and so forth and so on. The tide rises, tides fall. Our own lives follow patterns of sowing, waiting, and reaping. So the question is never, will things change? The real question, how will I flow with the change? Think about that. How will you flow with the changes that are due to come in life? And if rhythm is woven into the very fabric of life itself, then surely we should see it reflected in the scriptures. The Bible is full of reminders that life unfolds in seasons, cycles, and divine timings. So let's look at a few passages that ground tonight's teaching on this principle we can find here in the Word. We're going to focus on two scriptures, Ecclesiastes 3 and 1 and Genesis 8 and 22. Ecclesiastes tells us to everything there's a season and to every purpose under heaven. Genesis 3 and 8 and 22 states, while the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. Both of these scriptures remind us life is rhythmic. These aren't punishments or accidents, they're divine patterns embedded into creation. These verses show us that rhythm is part of creation, but sometimes it's easier to grasp when we see it lived out in someone's story. So I found a story. The story of Job is one of the clearest demonstrations of the law of rhythm in Scripture. Job begins in a season of abundance. We find him in wealth, health, surrounded by family, blessed on every side. Then, in a swing of a pendulum, he loses almost everything: his possessions, his health, his children. In the old church, we say wife, cattle, children. Everything he had was gone. But that wasn't the end of the rhythm. After the season of loss came a season of restoration. Job 42 and 10 tells us, and the Lord turned the captivity of Job. Also, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. So when we look at Job's story, it reminds us that rhythm is not punishment, it is divine order. Just as night gives way to morning, so loss gives way to renewal. And we can cause that pendulum to swing really hard by our thoughts, our meditations. And so we have to be conscientious of that. When you're in a downward swing, you're not abandoned. You're being carried through a cycle. Rhythm assures us that every fall has its rise. Now, that's just Job's story. That's the universal story. What he lived out personally, the Hermetic teachings or the Kemetic teachings reveal as a cosmic principle rhythm, that rhythm doesn't just move through individuals, it moves through all creation. Let's see how this principle of rhythm connects with the other laws that we've studied thus far. So I want to put them in context. Mentalism, which was the first law we looked at, tells us all is mind. Rhythm is how mental creations unfold through time cycles. A single thought doesn't manifest instantly. It ripens in stages, moving like seasons until it bears fruit in your lived experience. When we look at correspondence, which tells us as above, so below, we find rhythm is the heartbeat of correspondence. The seasons of heaven reflected on earth are the same. Just as the moon has phases and the stars move in their appointed courses, our own inner world echoes with patterns of ebb and flow. As inside ultimately becomes outside. What's outside ultimately becomes inside because we don't stay on the inside. We naturally vacillate back and forth. We looked at vibration, where it says nothing rests, everything moves. Rhythm is vibration organized, the swing of motion instead of random activity. Where vibration speaks of constant movement, we find that rhythm explains that this movement follows an ordered back and forth, in and out motion like a pendulum swinging in harmony. And then last week, when we dealt with polarity, tells us that opposites are the same in degree. Rhythm is the pendulum that swings between the poles, keeping creation in balance. Hot moves towards cold, joy moves towards sorrow. Each extreme contains the seed of its opposite, proving that balance is always being restored. That's what Ma'at is about, bringing things to the balance. Don't not having your pendulum swing too hard. So rhythm is not isolated. It is the timing and it's the flow that weaves everything, all other principles into harmony. So you might ask, why does all of this matter? If you don't understand rhythm, you'll think a downturn is permanent. But when you master rhythm, you recognize every setback is just the swing before you come back. So think about it. In finances, what looks like a sudden bill can be followed by unexpected provisions. In health, a time of fatigue often precedes a deeper recovery. In your spiritual walk, a season of dryness can be the preparation for a fresh revelation. So the question tonight is, where do you notice rhythm in your life right now? Are you in a season of rising or of pulling back for preparation? If you want to, go ahead and type it in the chat. Give you a couple seconds to do that. Because we all are in rhythm. And some of us are on an upswing, and some may be on a downswing. You may be on an upswing in a particular area of your life and a downswing in another area of your life. Okay, so that's important. Now, let's be clear about something. None of us can stop rhythm. The swing of the pendulum is universal. Tides will always rise and fall. Man can do nothing about that. Seasons will always change. Emotions will always move. But here's the key. You may not master the law itself, but you can master how you move with it. The Kabbalion calls this neutralization. It means you learn to steady yourself as at the center of who you are. So you're less controlled by extremes of life. So you learn to steady yourself by being centered. Think of it like surfing. You cannot command the ocean to stop moving, but you can master your balance. So instead of being tossed by the wave into the ocean, you ride it with intention. This is what it means to practice mastery of rhythm. Not to eliminate the swing, but to align so fully with divine order that the swing no longer controls you. It don't send you off on an emotional tangent. So ask yourself, am I being carried by life unconsciously, or am I choosing to ride the rhythm with awareness? And most of us are not even aware. We just get so we on this swing, this pendulum, and it takes us up and it takes us down. And we find ourselves being moved by this. Now, give you some metaphors of lived examples of this rhythm. Like you look at the ocean waves, no matter how high they rise, they always return. Fight the wave, and you'll exalt yourself. Flow with it, and you'll find yourself riding with ease. When we look at music, without rhythm, sound is just noise. Rhythm transforms sound into a song. And likewise, rhythm transforms the chaos of our lives into divine order. And when it comes to seasons, winter, spring, summer, and fall, each one has its purpose. None of them last forever. Rhythm teaches us to trust the cycle. Okay? So, right now, I want you to put your hand on your chest. I want you to feel your heartbeat. That's rhythm. Some may have to push your hand, move your hand around. It may be faint, but that's rhythm. Notice your inhale and your exhale. That is rhythm alive in you. You're not outside of rhythm. You are rhythm in motion. And one of the things we have to learn that by paying attention to our breath, it puts us in rhythm. So the practice for this week has to do with the embodying of the principle of rhythm through simple practice. And so when we look at rhythm, a lot of times when we say we're out of sync, what we're really saying we're out of rhythm. It's like dancing. When you lose your beat, you really lose your rhythm. And many times we go through life and we have lost our rhythm. We're not rhythmic. And breathing is one way to bring your rhythm back. I want to encourage you. Now, one way of doing it is when you in the stillness, you breathe in and you breathe out. But many of us don't realize our breathing is not regulated. We may breathe shallow, breathe in for 2 seconds, and we breathe out for one. Or we breathe in for 3, 4 seconds, and we breathe out for two. But the goal would be to have your breathing balance. Okay, so you're going to learn how to breathe in and then how to breathe out. And we're going to do an exercise. So when we talk about rhythm, this week in your rhythm awareness journal that you're going to create, every evening I would like you to reflect. Where did I notice life's swing today? Okay, and then ask yourself, how did I respond? Okay, was there a swing in my life today? How did I respond? Did I respond by resisting it, struggling to try to bring it back under your control? Or did you just ride it and go with the flow? This week, we want to work on our breath work. I want you to spend 5 minutes every day following your natural inhale and exhale. And I want you to whisper inwardly, this is rhythm in me. So let's do that right now. Let's have an experiential exercise. So I want you to sit up. Okay, if you got your feet on the floor, I want your spine erect. And I want you to, I'm going to talk you to it. You're going to take a deep breath in. I want you to do it for the count of four, but it may be difficult. So let's do it for the count of three. So on the breath in, you're going to breathe in for the count of three. Then you're going to stop. Then you're going to exhale to the count of three. Then you're going to breathe in to the count of three. And you're going to exhale to the count of three. The goal is to get it to where you breathing in to the count of four and you exhale to the count of four. What goes in should be what comes out, right? So if you're bringing in a volume of four, you should be exhaling a volume of four. So let's try that. And then what we're going to do, we're going to breathe in to the count of three. We're going to pause and we're going to whisper inwardly to ourselves, this is the rhythm in me. And then you're going to exhale to the count of three. So let's try it. I'm going to speak it and you can do it. So you're sitting erect, you're breathing in through your nostrils on a count of three. One, two, three. Whispering, this is rhythm in me. Exhaling, one, two, three. Inhale, one, two, three. This is rhythm in me. Exhale, one, two, three. Inhale, one, two, three, four. Whispering inwardly, this is the rhythm in me. Exhale, one, two, three, four. Inhale, one, two, three, four. Exhale, one, two, three, four. One more. Inhale, one, two, three, four. Exhale, one, two, three, four. Let's talk about that. Anybody want to share what was that like for you? Did you find it easy to breathe in? I'm going to allow you all to talk. Just raise your hand if you want to respond. What was that like for you? So I'm going to ask you, Myrna, since you are a singer, how important is breath in singing? Is there anything you can say to that?
It's vital um, to singing for sure. Um, and it's vital for you to be able to just sustain your rhythm. And so yes, it's very vital.
What is one of the biggest challenges you see with individuals who are just starting out singing as it relates to the breath?
If they don't inhale enough, then they're not able to sustain the notes, or they can't complete the phrase of the song. Um, and they need to be able to sustain the note in order to, to hold the note, to make the emphasis for the song, um, the lyrics. Um, Also for a musician, they have to be able to hold, to hold their, perform and inhale in order to exhale, to order to play the saxophone or the trumpet.
So the breath is essential. So you can take, how about if they don't take in enough breath, but can you take in too much breath?
I don't find that to be the case where you can take in too much breath. Um, it, the um, that taking in too well, you can't take in too much breath because your diaphragm can only take in so much.
Hmm.
Um, and so what you can do is exhale too quickly, and so you're not able to last long. Or you can exhale extremely slowly, which allows you to really sustain a note, but your diaphragm will limit.
What you can take in.
Yes.
And so the diaphragm can naturally limit what goes in. But for many people, when we say shallow breath, how does that relate to the diaphragm?
It leaves a lot left. It's like a balloon that's half blown up. It's not fully blown up.
Hmm.
And so
And,
there's room left. There's lots of room left
mhm.
uh, there. And so as a result, you're when you exhale, it's just kind of peters out. So
And the point I make, that's a good point. And many of us are not aware that we're not taking full breaths. We're not maximizing the breath that should come into our diaphragm. And we're breathing shallow. We're breathing from our chest. We're not filling the balloon all the way up. And then we find that we don't have enough air to really do what we need to do. And so find yourself with rapid breathing. And this is a part of rhythm. So when we sit in the silence, one of the things that we do is we focus on our breath. And so you take an inventory, like, am I breathing in a big breath and then I'm letting it go too fast? Like if I breathe in on a 5 or 4 count, am I able to make the exhale on a 4 count? Did anybody have any experiences with that? I know I started us with 3 because I figured everybody can get to 3 and hold it to 3. But the ideal is to get it to 4, balance 4 in, balance 4 out at the same pace also.
can I
Any,
add something else?
yes, yes.
When I had my car accident back last year, a Navy SEAL came to
Okay.
my rescue, and he said that he wanted me to do box breathing. And he instructed me to inhale for 4 to 5 seconds and then hold my breath for that 4 to 5 seconds and then exhale 4 to 5 seconds and then hold my breath 4 to 5 seconds. And that would calm me as well as get my body into rhythm, and not be anxious.
Hmm. You had shared that with me, and I kind of had looked it up in the past, and I found out that it is actually a breathing technique, and some people call it square breathing. Okay, and it's simple, but what it does is it sets a powerful breathing technique in order that calms the nervous system. It reduces stress and improves the focus. It's called box because you follow the 4 equal steps, like the
Right.
4 sides of a square. That's like I do the 4 count. Inhale
Correct.
slowly through your nose for 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 4 seconds. You exhale slowly through your mouth for 4 seconds. You hold your breath for 4 seconds before inhaling. You're gonna repeat this cycle 3 to 5 times. Okay, so let's try it. So we're going to do this. We're going to inhale slowly through our nose for 4 seconds. We're going to hold it for 4 seconds. We're going to exhale slowly through our mouth for 4 seconds. And we're going to hold it again before inhaling. So I'm going to count them out and you operate with me. So we're going to inhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 1, 2, 3, four. Inhale. One, two, three, four. Hold your breath. One, two, three, four. Exhale. One, two, three, four. Hold. One, two, three, four. What was that like? Anybody want to share anything? What's that experience like for you? Anybody want to raise your hand? Participatory tonight. Maybe you came in with a lot of things on your mind or heaviness or whatever. Sure, you have the mic.
Well, that was very difficult to do because after you exhale, then you say hold it. There wasn't anything to hold because we had exhaled.
Okay, I mean you don't do anything. You just be present to emptiness. So you find it easy to hold, I mean to breathe for four. How was that for you? Did that seem like you were stressing?
Yeah, that was too long. That was too long to be one. And you, so when for so seconds is 1,002, 1,003, 1,004. That's 4 seconds.
Okay, so we can get a timer or a clock to do it, but even if you pace it out, how would you count that out, Myrna? Would you say that was going too long, or would you say that it needed to be counted faster so people can use?
It could have been a little bit faster.
Okay,
Um, yeah, it could have been. But either way, the holding at the end is you still holding, but you're not holding your breath. You're just not doing. You're just holding. You're not breathing in or out.
being
You're
Hmm.
holding
emptiness,
emptiness. Yeah.
Yeah.
to emptiness. Hesefi, um, good evening. You have the mic.
Yeah, with the box breathing, it's like inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold. So when you say hold, that's actually a count. So it wound up almost like five,
Right.
you know,
So do
20.
that again. Do that again. So we know how to count it out.
So like when you say inhale, because when you say inhale, we all go start inhaling, right? So if
Mhm.
you say inhale, inhale is one. Then
Yeah.
inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold two. See when you give a command, there's still a number.
Number. Okay. And so if you're doing it with on your own command, then you don't have to say hold. You can just count it.
Right.
Well,
And
how would that what would that look like if you were doing it on your own?
right, because box breathing is like for that, a total of 16 to 4, 4, 4, 4. So when I do it, and plus people breathe at different stages. So if you're saying seconds as opposed to like I sure was saying per second it's like inhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, exhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, inhale. So it's that's the rhythm
Hmm.
that balances off, and the more you do it, it increases your diaphragm and things like that. Just like when Murray was talking about, like even with singing, a lot of people when they first start singing, they sing through their throat, not their diaphragm. Where it's the breath that sustains you. You got to get that in there so that you can hold that note. Like she's saying, if you are singing from your throat, you're gonna wear your throat out. You're not breathing, and the breath is what sustains you in life and singing and public speaking, whatever. It's all about your pacing and your timing, and that comes like you're saying, sort of from your breathing and knowing how to hold and stuff. And the more you practice it, the better you get at it.
So if that's something you were familiar with, how have you incorporated that or used that in your life?
Well, I'm a meditator. And so I do different types of breathing techniques depending on what it is that I'm trying to accomplish. Because like my daughter is like a yoga instructor, and not just her, other people I meditate with, because there are certain breathing exercises where they'll tell you, especially at night when you're trying to settle yourself, to breathe in for 4, or whatever your count is that you bring in it, that you breathe in, exhale twice the amount. Like if you breathe in for 4, then you're gonna exhale for 8. If you breathe in for 3, and that's where you usually start off, not with the box breathing, just regularly, I'm gonna breathe in for 3 counts. I'm gonna exhale for 6. That helps you at night, when you get ready to go to bed and things like that. So I incorporate breathing because I'm a person who has dealt with anxieties before, and I always go back to the breath.
Hmm. Because it's your body. You're bringing your body into subjection, into the peace, and that's important. I think we need to maybe have someone come on and just spend a session talking to us about breathing because it's such an essential part of life. But we've never been taught to breathe properly. We would think, oh, just breathe, but there's a proper way to breathe. Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that, Myrna?
No, that was excellent.
Excellent.
Excellent. Well said.
Excellent. Thank you, Hasefi, for sharing that with us. I didn't know if I made space for that tonight. So we're going to do some breath work. Maybe I will put together an assignment on how to do that. But then you want to also reframe your downturns this week. When challenges come, I want you to affirm something like, this too is part of the rhythm of rising. Okay. When you have a challenge, you say this too is part of the rhythm of rising. So you might want to think about which of these three practices, the awareness journal, which where do I, you're going to reflect on where did I notice life swinging today? How did I respond? Uh, did I resist or did I flow? Or you can do that. You can do the breath work, or you can do the reframing of the downturns. So I want you to consider at least doing one of those as we move into this week. And so when we talk about this principle of rhythm, it aligns with the other principles. There, even though we're talking about them separately, it's a dance. They all work together. It's not just you work on one, the law of correspondence, what's coming in and what's going out. But even with that, you have to know there's a rhythm to it. If you're seeing a lot of poverty frequently coming in, there's a rhythm of poverty in your life. And so you might have to interrupt the rhythm. Just because it's swinging doesn't mean it's the proper swing. So you might want to get your pendulum to swing not too hard right, because if it swing hard right, guess what? The law of correspondence says it must swing hard left. You want it to get right there where it has a nice soft swing. That the things that you go through, you grow through. When you first of all, there's never such thing as lack, but when lack appears, then it gives you the opportunity to work the principle. Because as long as the pendulum is hanging out on in prosperity and it never moves, you're not really working the muscles that are necessary naturally to keep it coming back. So when it swings left, you realize, hey, things are always working out for me, even when they don't appear to be working out for me. It's swinging left on me, but it's going to swing back right. Okay. And I don't keep it stuck because you can get it stuck. You can get your pendulum stuck hard left if you focus in on when am I going to get out of this. Now that thing going to pick up momentum. It may swing you over into that other area, but it's going to come back real fast and it's going to start swinging real hard. So I like that pendulum analogy.
Mhm.
So that's important. Any questions about when we talk about rhythm? When you look at Job's life, the rhythm, the thing he feared most, he gave a push on the fear. And how do I know he gave a push? Because his prayer was motivated perhaps my children have done something wrong, and in order to correct that, I'm going to pray in advance for it. And so that's the law of correspondence. What he was thinking is what he on the inside is ultimately what came on the outside. Any dialogue about that, about this particular um, principle? See if I see any hands. I don't see any hands. Okay. So what is the takeaway perhaps tonight that you have come away with tonight as I've talked about the law of rhythm? I want you to think about that, and then I want everybody to kind of chime in on what is the takeaway when we talk about the law of rhythm. What it's important that you be able to communicate what it is. You're not going to ever master it. You're going to learn to ride it. So let me see here. I see a hand there. Cheryl, go ahead.
So, as you were talking there, I was just thinking about there's a song, and it's called "The Rhythm of Life," and it speaks to not particularly about our breath or that, but just that you go through phases in your life where there are ups and there may be downs, and just like you said, you'll be riding high, and then there's an interruption. But you know what we say, things are always working out for me, even when they don't appear to me. So you just say that, and
Mhm,
then you remain in the rhythm of life, but it's a flow. You don't, like you say, get stuck on one side, or you try not to, because sometimes you can with your thinking, and you my focus is always to, even if I think it, not release it into the atmosphere.
mhm, mhm. So that's a lot of when you look at this traditional, um, let's say Christianity, from which many of us have come out of. We are always praying for things to be swung right. Uh,
Hmm.
we pray in advance that we don't have to experience certain things. I was just telling somebody in my family the other day, one of the kids, just as an aside, everybody should know my schedule. On Sundays, I'm doing a certain thing. On Tuesday nights, I'm doing a certain thing. And my family oftentimes call me, the kids call me when they know I should be doing something. So that tells me how much attention they are paying to me. So I chuckle when I see the phone ring in the midst of my lesson. But the point I was making is when we in traditional Christianity, we do things to avoid something. We accept Jesus as our personal Savior to avoid going to hell. So we're always doing something to avoid something. So when we talk about rhythm, when we talk about the principles, it's to give you the ability to master this thing called life, because you come here to experience life. You didn't come here to just experience all good. Neither did you come to experience bad. Some people may came here to experience a level of what could be considered bad, but for whatever reason they chose to come here to experience that. But then even that person is out of whack because this pendulum, the natural law, they're here to learn the law of good, or the degree to the left or the degree to the right. Sev, you made a point there. Rhythm of life is a force of habit. You want to say something about that?
Well, Cheryl, I was typing that at the same time Cheryl was saying, mentioning the song, because that's the song that was in my head at the time. That the song says the rhythm of life is a force of habit. Cheryl was saying the rhythm of life. I know it's the same song, and she was saying, so you just go with the flow. And I agree with going with the flow. Also, from the teachings that you've been sharing with us, and that song rhythm of life, is a lot of times we have to form a different way of thinking about stuff. So it's a force of habit. And some of the things that I used to do that wasn't getting me anywhere, or I'll seek information about what I need to be doing. And God doesn't leave me ignorant, never leaves me ignorant. So it'll tell me something, and it's different from what I normally do. If I want to exceed and be successful, and God has sent me the answer, that means I got to change. I got to change what I've been doing. I asked, you told me, so now there's a force of habit. It's a new regime to get to that, to where I want to be. So I feel like the lessons that you're saying, and even with the rhythm of life being a force of habit or a flow, like Cheryl says, it was just interesting that that song was in both our minds at the time that she was speaking it. I was typing it.
Mm, mm. So, Carolyn, I'm going to bring you in, and then I would like Rachel, I would like you to come in afterwards and kind of talk about what you put there. That's a real something we all experience. All right, Carolyn, good evening. You have the mic. You can unmute yourself. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Because I've been having trouble with this phone. I'm actually traveling right now and I'm listening and just kind of doing the breathing as you guys have been going along. But I have a question because what I find myself doing sometimes is holding my breath and I'm not aware of my breath until I.
Try to say that one more time, the back part.
Okay, get
Yeah, I can hear you.
a bad area of holding my breath. And I don't even realize until I release it, until I do take a breath. Um, I could be picking up something or just putting on shoes. Holding breath. I don't know if that's so, how that works. I was a smoker, and when I would go to the doctor, I believe I was a smoker because my lungs were so clear. But when my mom had to take me to the doctor because he said I wasn't breathing like everybody else breathed. I never took a deep breath. And somebody has said before about that balloon or not actually ever getting that full breath. So I'd like you to expound on that a little bit more and the importance of breathing in that oxygen flow so that our bodies can be supplied because it comes through the breath, right?
Mhm. So naturally, when people are under stress or an anxiety, we find that they're not breathing properly. When we're anxious or focused, we often hold our breath without even realizing it. Okay, this is our body's way of bracing for danger or survival. If you're about to do something, you may hold your breath before you do it. Okay, it could be you can be overly concentrating on something. You can be in deep thought, and that's why we purposely take time and take breaks through the day and focus on our breath because things can capture our breath. Like you can have something happen and it causes you to gasp. It like takes your breath away. And throughout our day, the thoughts we're thinking, the things we're doing tends to take us off our breath. And so I'm not into meditation, but I can see how it's important that part of meditation is not about doing, but just being present to that. Anything you, Steph, you more into the breathing, anything you had to say about that?
It's just very calming to me, and most, meditators or yogis, and I mean just uh, you know, people who are really into wholeness or teaching breathing techniques and things like that. They'll tell you, like, when you get really anxious and excited about something, go somewhere and sit and breathe.
Hmm.
Just, just breathe and take your time, and it will always bring you back to center. It always breathing always brings you back to center. Because what they say, God blew into you the breath of life.
Hmm.
So whenever it's chaotic, you need to come back to life. And
Hmm.
so breathing is that, you know. And I'm a person who um subscribes to praying is talking to God and meditating is listening. So that's what meditation means to me a lot. Because sometimes we have our frequency so we're so busy asking and looking for something out there that's bigger than us, as opposed to sitting still, quiet enough to hear the answer. Because sometimes it's like I was praying, and you know, and I didn't get an answer. Did you sit still enough to hear it?
Hmm.
Is this why I say be still and know? So that's the way I look at meditation. Is a way of hearing. I pray to talk to God, and I meditate to hear the answer, which comes from within, because God is within you. You know,
Hmm.
but you gotta sit still enough to be able to hear that. And I feel like meditation and breathing is that centering thing for me and most of my cohorts who practice.
And then you mentioned stillness, and which we don't do, and just to be still and know. To know means is one know is that identify with what I know I am, and then to be open to receive, always learning. It's not learning from the that mental faculty, but learning from the intuitive that is comes from the inside. You know, I have to, my brain is always going. I'm always coming up with a good idea or something. So you have to learn to breathe and just sit in the silence, not looking for a conversation going on in your mind. Just be still. And many of us, when we get to that, we don't never uh, capitalize on it because we fall asleep. Okay, because we're so exhausted. And so that's why we take some time and just breathe. Breathe before you go to bed. Don't just get into bed and fall asleep. Yeah, that's important. Rachel, and then I'm gonna come back. Sure, I think I see your hand came up. Rachel, you want to share with us what you had typed? I think you might. There you go.
Good morning. I'm thinking, look, I sleep during the day. I'm up at night. But anyway, I had written, I think just everyone could see it, but I wrote in my old limited belief slash old man's mindset. I saw the swing of the pendulum that swung in a direction that I considered unfavorable. I saw it as it, I must have sinned or I have done something that was not pleasing, to God. And in for its in limiting belief and in coming out of Christianity, that's if the I what way I wanted this pendulum to swing. If I wanted it to swing right, I wanted it to stay right. I
Hmm.
mean, I didn't want it to swing left because I figured if it's swinging right, I'm in right standing with God. I'm doing all the right things. And so I'm thankful for the teaching tonight. But I was reminded of my brother who, like I shared on the morning call, who passed suddenly after being retired, military being retired for only 2 days. He said something. He started having problems with his bladder, and he was in pain, and he was angry. He said, God, I don't know why this happened to me. He said, I go to church, I read my Bible, I help people, I go to Bible class, I'm tithing. He just naming all the spiritual things that he does, and he felt like my pendulum shouldn't swing this way. I'm doing everything right, but I know, like you said, there has to be balance. This pendulum will swing, and when you say it about that hard swing to the left or that hard swing, as hard as you swing out, that's as hard as it's going to swing
Yeah.
back.
Yes,
Uh,
at some point. And so it's not natural. And so many times we are just that. We're judging ourselves based on the swinging to the left. The more swings to the right or higher the swing to the right, we must be doing everything right. But you're really doing something wrong because ultimately that swing is going to come down. So where do we want the pendulum? We want the pendulum to swing maybe like 5 to 10 degrees each way. Just a nice swing. That's the flow of life. You're gonna get contrast. You're gonna deal with the contrast. Just like you ever been to the seashore and just stood there and listen and watch the waves will come in and then they'll go out. They don't come in and stay. Sometimes when it's coming to high tide, it'll come all the way up and then it'll go all, but then eventually you get to the rhythm of it, and you understand this is the rhythm of where we are, and we know what's causing it. It's high tide. And so when we look at our lives, we have to understand what is the causation is not because we've done anything wrong. It's not that God is punishing us or we done anything right, other than we're living in the flow. We live in the flow. And when we're out of the flow, we get back in the flow. Just like jumping double dutch. If you get tied up, you jump out and you come back in. Yeah, I saw Cheryl, your hand.
I was also,
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
And also when the sister was talking about the breathing of excuse me, of the breath work, breathing is very important because breathing is a sign of you being conscious. Now, when you are not breathing, then you consider unconscious. You're really not conscious.
And ultimately, you're going to go unconscious if
Yes.
you don't breathe.
Right,
So
exactly.
we want to regulate, have rhythmic breath. We want to have the proper flow of breath, just like the pendulum. We want to make sure the proper amount of breath is coming in for whatever we're doing, and the proper amount of exhale comes out with it. Okay, Cheryl and then Carolyn.
Oh, okay. I just had to chuckle as you were speaking prior to Miss Rachel. You said your brain never stops thinking, and I told Myrna that today. So I just chuckled to myself. I wanted to say, Myrna, you see what he said? He confirmed it. The brain never stops. Even when you sleep, I don't think it ever stops. But I just told Myrna that today. So I just want to just make that little comment because I chuckled to myself. I said, see, he even said it himself.
Mhm. And I know that. So I'm not a big
You laughing, Myrna? Myrna, yeah, because
I'm not a big talker. I'll breathe.
nope.
What?
I'm a big
No,
thinker.
he not. He not a big talker. Nope.
I'm thinking a lot, and
Yep.
sometimes I try to get to the place where I'm not thinking. And the best way to do that is when I focus on my breath. And I close things down, I put things away, and I when I get off work, I'll come home and I'll sit on the couch without anything on, and I'll just breathe. And then I find some days I fall asleep, and that tells me that I'm tired. Okay, so we want to. So when your body naturally drifts off to sleep, then that says that you're overworking. You're in the physical domain, and so we have to learn to balance that out. That's really important. Yes, Carolyn, thanks.
Hi. Yeah, this is really interesting. I was listening at something you said earlier about how the pendulum swings and that it is a cycle. Life is a cycle. Everything goes around. I remember reading once in the game of life, this guy was saying he never has a bad day. That even when contrast shows up or challenges show up, he just baptized everything good
Mhm.
and just realized that okay, this is what's on his path. He goes ahead and deal with it and keep on moving. And we just travel around in that cycle, knowing that you know contrast is going to show up, that it is a part of life. But you just said something then when you said you never stop thinking. I have a problem. Sometimes I try to turn my brain off. It's like in the be still and know, it's like, okay, be still. And it's like hard for me to shut my mind off, to empty my mind. I haven't gotten there yet.
Brain, your brain.
Okay, well, my brain, okay.
Sometimes they call it the monkey brain because it's always jumping from this thing to that thing. And the way you do that is through meditation. That's a benefit of yoga. Am I not right, Hasefi?
Yep, it is. It is because my body. I know my daughter, who is the yoga instructor. I remember when I used to try to get her to meditate at a very, very bad time in her life where she had experienced like very, very traumatic, you know,
Strong.
bad experience. Yeah, and I was trying to get her to meditate, and she was like, "Man, I can't sit still for 5 minutes. I can't do that. I can't do that." And now she's an instructor. And she laughs sometimes. She's like, "Mom, I remember when I couldn't even sit still." And so even if you start with something as little as 5 minutes, as busy as your mind and everything is, even if you just start with 5 minutes of silence, it's a start. And meditation is really, really good to, to balance the busy mind, because we've all, I think all of us have been there. I've been there once upon a time, long time ago, but it's hard. Yeah, it can be hard, but you listen to the right music and do
Mhm.
it when you are stressed out, and just start with simple breathing, and you will be able to tell the difference.
Yes. Rachel, you can unmute yourself. I think I just saw your hand come up.
Yeah, I want to add to I am also enjoying this on meditation because I'm learning it and I am practicing it. I do have a daughter-in-law who could see really would benefit from it. She's a teacher and she's just experiencing high levels of stress. And but back to meditation, when I began to start it, when the scripture said, in that your word, I'll meditate day and night. And
Mhm.
when I began to share it with a family member concerning the breathing, the breath work, and the meditation, I was like, ain't that demonic? Aren't you calling in different spirits and and things like that? So that I was just sharing that that's what I had experienced when you talk to someone about meditation, and it's really not widespread in the Black community.
Right. And the next time they say, is it demonic? Say, no, it's demonstrative.
Okay.
Demonstrative. So even that word demon, so it's about demonstration. And for many people, they're not really living what they learn. They have information, but they don't take it to application, and there's no demonstration. And so, for in some belief system like traditional Christianity, the way it's been unfolded, the work is on Jesus. Jesus take the wheel. It's God's going to do it. No, He left you here in Genesis 1. It tells you, giving you dominion. You have dominion over your world. And God is not going to step in and intervene because he's giving you dominion. And so we have bad theology out there. And I let people be where they are. If it works for them, I let them work it. But it didn't work for me. So I had to, and that's the one thing you have to come to the realization with. There's some things that you will let go because you come to the realization and the integrity that it doesn't work. I'm only doing it because of the external pressure, the groupthink. But this spirituality it's a individuality. It's an individualized thing, and we have to know that. Yeah. So we're about to wrap it up. Let me see if there's anybody else had their hand up. I think Myrna, you had your hand up.
Thank you. Yes, I wanted to comment a combination. I forgot who it was, but I know that Hetzefi um was explaining in terms of the simple breathing. Oh, I forgot who it was, but that said that the mind just constantly goes. Um, One of the first things that when I was introduced to meditating was that the instruction was to listen to your breath, inhale and exhale. And that is a way, talking about breath and inhale and exhale and the rhythm of things, to listen to you inhale and then listen to you exhale. If you're focusing your mind on your breath, you cannot think of anything else.
Mm.
And
Yes.
so that allows you to slow your brain or slow your thinking down, slow your brain down from all these other thoughts because you're focusing in on your breath.
Mhm.
Um, and then yes, something will come floating by, but certainly not as much as it was. And then you just kind of let that float on by because you're
Right.
constantly trying to focus
Right.
on listening to your breath. So
Let the distractions float on by.
yeah.
Yeah, that's important. So I'm gonna find a couple videos that I could share with you all, and if somebody has a YouTube video out there that shows box breathing or Hefty, if you got something that could help the group, send it to me and I'll make sure it gets out. All right, so we've had a productive evening. What I would like to do is close with an affirming prayer. So right where you are, I just want everybody to take a big breath in through their nostrils, hold it, now exhale through your mouth. And breathe at your own pace and just close your eyes. And then we step into this place of peace We step into the space where all of us are one. We step into the infinite presence called now. And with each inhale we take throughout this evening, we draw in your peace source. With each pause, we rest in your stillness. With each exhale, we release all tension and fear. With each pause, we trust that we are sustained by you. We affirm that our breath is holy, our beings are aligned, our lives are carried in the perfect flow of spirit. There's no need for us to force, no need for us to struggle, only to breathe, to align, and to trust. So tonight, we walk forward calmly, centered, clear, knowing that the same spirit breathing through us is guiding the rhythm of the universe. And so it is. Amen. Thank you all for your presence. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for sharing. Have a wonderful evening. Peace.